Bo Jackson once threw a baseball 300 feet on a line, no bounce, and beat one of the fastest men in the league to home plate. The runner was already rounding third when Bo caught the ball in the far corner of left field. Everyone in the stadium knew he would score. Everyone was wrong. That was the thing about Bo Jackson. He did things that were not supposed to be possible, and he did them like they were easy. This is the story of the greatest athlete most people ever saw. And the one injury that took it all away. He was born Vincent Edward Jackson in Bessemer, Alabama, in 1962. The nickname came from Boar Hog because as a kid he was wild, unstoppable, impossible to control. It stuck. By the time he reached Auburn University, Bo Jackson was the most gifted athlete in America, and it wasn't close. He was a running back who ran like a sprinter, because he actually was fast enough to compete at the national level in track. He could have chased 3 different sports and starred in all of them. In 1985 he won the Heisman Trophy as the best player in college football. He could have walked straight into the NFL as the #1 pick. Instead, he did something almost no one understood. He chose baseball. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers drafted him first overall in 1986. Bo turned them down. The Kansas City Royals had taken him in the 4th round, a gamble, a flyer on a football star who might never hit a curveball, and Bo signed with them instead. He wanted to play the game he loved. Football, he said, was just a hobby. Then he went out and became a star in both. On the field, the stories piled up faster than anyone could believe them. He hit a ball in Kansas City that traveled measurably past 450 feet. He broke bats, not by cracking them on pitches, but by snapping them over his own knee in frustration, and once, clean over his helmet, like the wood was a dry twig. He ran so hard chasing a fly ball in Baltimore that, to keep from slamming into the outfield wall, he ran straight up it, several steps up a vertical wall, as if gravity had forgotten to show up. And then there was the throw. June 1989. Seattle. A runner named Harold Reynolds, one of the quickest players in the league, was on first base when a single dropped into the left field corner. Reynolds took off, certain to score. By the time Bo tracked the ball down, deep in the corner, Reynolds was flying past third. Bo turned and threw. The ball never arced. It came in flat and hard, a frozen rope traveling almost 300 feet, and it landed in the catcher's glove in time to tag Reynolds out at the plate. Reynolds said later he thought there had been a cutoff man, that no human could throw a ball that far, that fast, on a line. There was no cutoff man. It was just Bo. That's the turn nobody outside baseball saw coming. The football player was becoming the best show in the sport. In 1989, a shoe company turned Bo Jackson into a myth. The campaign was 2 words, Bo knows. Bo knows baseball. Bo knows football. Then it spiraled. Bo knows tennis. Bo knows hockey. Bo knows everything. He appeared alongside legends from every sport, and the joke was that there was nothing this man couldn't do. For a moment, Bo Jackson was the most famous athlete alive, and the strangest part was that the commercials undersold him. Because the field kept feeding the legend. July 1989. The All-Star Game in Anaheim. Bo Jackson led off the bottom of the first inning, and on one swing he launched a pitch from Rick Reuschel into the upper deck in center field, a home run so far that estimates of its distance still disagree to this day, somewhere between 448 feet and well over 500, depending on who you ask. Then he stole a base in the same game. He was named the game's most valuable player. Watching from the broadcast booth, a former president of the United States called it one of the most impressive things he had ever seen. And here is the detail that still sounds made up. Bo Jackson did not quit football to do this. Every year, when the baseball season ended, he put on pads and joined the Los Angeles Raiders. That same 1989, he was an All-Star in Major League Baseball and, months later, a Pro Bowler in the National Football League. Two sports. The best of the best in each. In the same 12 months. No one had ever done it. No one has truly done it since. He was 27 years old. He was just getting started. And there was every reason to believe the ceiling simply didn't exist for him. Then came a single afternoon in January that ended everything. And it didn't even happen on a baseball field. January 13, 1991. A playoff football game. Bo Jackson took a handoff, broke into the open the way he always did, and was dragged down from behind, a routine tackle, the kind he had shrugged off 1,000 times. But his hip popped out of its socket, then slid back in. He got up. He walked off. It looked like nothing. It was not nothing. The injury cut off the blood supply to the ball of his hip joint. The bone began to die, a condition called avascular necrosis. There is no coming back from it the way there is from a torn muscle. The joint itself was failing, quietly, from the inside. The Royals looked at their superstar, a man who months earlier could run up walls, and made a cold decision. In the spring of 1991, they released him. Doctors told him he would be lucky to walk without a limp. The consensus was blunt and final: Bo Jackson was done. No one had ever played Major League Baseball on a dying hip, and no one expected him to be the first. In April 1992, surgeons replaced the joint entirely. Bo Jackson received an artificial hip, a prosthesis of metal and plastic where his own bone used to be. Elite athletes did not get hip replacements and return to play. It simply was not done. He spent the entire 1992 season out of baseball, rebuilding a body the sport had already written off. Then, on April 9, 1993, he walked to the plate wearing a Chicago White Sox uniform. It was his first at-bat of the season, his first swing in a real game with an artificial hip. The pitcher was Neil Heaton. Bo took his stance, the whole slow, careful motion of a man who had been told he would never do this again. And he swung. The ball went over the fence. A home run, in his first at-bat back, on a manufactured hip, in front of a crowd that had come half expecting to say goodbye and instead watched him do the impossible one more time. Grown men in the stands wept. He had become the first person in history to play a major league game with a replaced hip joint, and he announced it with a home run. Bo Jackson never got the career his talent promised. He played parts of a couple more seasons on that artificial hip, hit a few more home runs, and quietly retired in 1994. The numbers, by the standards of Cooperstown, are small. He is not in the Hall of Fame. He never won a World Series. On paper, the story looks unfinished, almost minor. And yet, decades later, he might be the most talked about what if the game has ever produced. Because Bo Jackson changed how we think about the ceiling of human ability. Before the hip, he erased the line between two sports that were supposed to be separate careers. And no one has genuinely crossed it the same way since. He made an entire generation believe that a single body could be the best at everything at once. Every two-sport dream that came after him, every argument about the greatest raw athlete who ever lived, still runs straight through Bo Jackson. And he changed something quieter, too. When he stepped into the batter's box in 1993 on a hip made of metal, he expanded the definition of what a broken body was allowed to do. Athletes who once would have been told to stop now had a reason to believe otherwise. The comeback that doctors called impossible became, for the people who came after, a door that was no longer locked. We remember the players who put up the biggest numbers. But sometimes the ones who echo longest are the ones who showed us the outer edge of what a person could be, and then, when it was all taken away in a single ordinary tackle, refused to accept the ending everyone else had already written. So here is the question. If Bo Jackson had never gotten hurt, if that one routine play had gone differently, would he have become the greatest all-around athlete in the history of American sports? Or is the legend only this big precisely because we never got to find out? Follow for more.